Welcome to our Devos. We are talking about consistent generosity, being consistent. And the last part of this today is going to be really what it all comes down to. I know this sounds simple and it sounds like, oh, this is boring and it's almost unfaithful, but really no. What you have to do if you want to be consistently generous is you've got to plan. There's really no other way around it. You have to plan. You have to predetermine. And I talked about this on Sunday. You have to predetermine what you're going to do. Because if we wait, we will have a problem. And when we have no plan, then we usually falter. Now, I've said before, there's a weird correlation between money, relationships, and diet. There's principles that are a part that of all of those components, all of those different life avenues that somewhat overlap. And planning is one of them. I'll give you an example. If you study people that are, on the thin side or people that are healthy, they have their health under control. If you study them and you study their habits, what you will find inevitably and invariably is that most of the time, more often than not, they have a meal plan. Now, it might not be some elaborate thing. They might just go, for lunch, I'm gonna batch cook some chicken and rice, and I'm gonna eat chicken and rice every day. Some people in our office do that. They prepare the night before what their next day's meals are going to be like. And they go, okay, this is my prepared. There's those meal kit services like Factor and Dinnerly and all those things. Not sponsoring any of these videos, by the way. But I know those are usually sponsoring. But those types of things, they're built around people who are wanting to plan their meals. So they want to have those out. Now, what happens with most people whose health gets out of control is when a doctor, and I've been in this position, a doctor will say, well, tell me about your meal plan. And I'm like, there is no plan. I just wake up and I'm like, I become a caveman. I'm like, where am I going to get food from today? Where do I find food today? And then you didn't plan to eat healthy, so what do? You eat convenience food. You grab something that's frozen. You grab something from the drive-thru. You grab something that you shouldn't eat that's on the shelf. You're like, I shouldn't eat that cookie, but I skipped breakfast. I didn't make a plan for that. So what happens is you do the worst. Bottom line, you do the worst. You do what's most convenient. You do what's easiest. You do what's least painful. Well, that's what happens when it comes to money too. If you don't make a plan, you won't have a plan, and then your plan is going to be to have a bad plan. And so in Paul's letter to the Corinthians, the first letter we have, he says on the first day in chapter 16, verse 2, on the first day of every week, each of you is to put something aside and store it up as he may prosper. So we see here, he's talking about giving, and he says, set this aside for the first day of each week. Each of you put something aside. He essentially lays out that this ought to be a systematic thing. It's not going to be like, ooh, I'm going to give if the message is good. You'll find that if you come to church, you go, well, the preacher, if he does a little good work on the exposition, maybe I'll give. Okay, that's not how you give. It's not how you eat. It's not how you plan relationships. You have a plan. You have a predetermined idea of what giving looks like for you, and then you stick through with the plan. That's why once a year, that's why we're doing it this year, we have the cards that we gave you in church, and they're online too, I'm sure. What is your next step when it comes to generosity? That requires you to say, this is what generosity looks like for me right now. This is what the Holy Spirit is telling me to do right now. He wants me to either start giving, he wants me to be more consistent, or he wants me to move into a level of sacrifice that maybe I've never experienced before. Whichever of the three, it requires you to predetermine it in advance. It requires you to plan so that way when you come to your month and you get your paycheck and you get your bills, you go, okay, I've already predetermined that I am a generous person, that I'm giving off of the top, that this is what I do. This is how we live. We give. This is how we plan. And when you plan to be generous, surprise, surprise, you will be consistently generous.